Welcome to our series on exploring financial therapy. Before we begin, it is crucial to understand the nature of the information that will be shared. This is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. The content provided is not financial advice, investment advice, or therapy. The creators of this content are not licensed financial advisors, investment advisors, tax professionals, or mental health professionals. We will be discussing concepts and ideas related to financial therapy, but we will not be providing any recommendations, guidance, or advice for your specific situation. Engaging with this material does not create a professional-client relationship of any kind. You should always consult with a qualified and licensed professional before making any decisions about your finances, investments, or mental health. Any action you take upon the information presented here is strictly at your own risk. We are not liable for any losses or damages in connection with the use of this information. By proceeding, you acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agreed to this disclaimer. Hello, and welcome to the first chapter of our journey into the world of financial therapy. In the United States, conversations about money are often considered taboo. We might discuss our careers, our families, and our dreams, but the topic of our personal finances frequently remains behind closed doors. This silence can create a sense of isolation and anxiety. Many of us struggle with financial stress, yet we feel like we are the only ones. But what if we told you that your relationship with money is about more than just numbers on a spreadsheet? What if we told you that your financial behaviors are deeply intertwined with your emotions, your past experiences, and your core beliefs? This is the central idea behind a growing field known as financial therapy. So, what exactly is financial therapy? Financial therapy is a holistic approach that combines financial counseling with therapeutic principles. It's a process that helps individuals, couples, and families understand and improve their relationship with money. It's not about getting rich quick, nor is it a traditional form of psychotherapy that ignores the practical aspects of money management. Instead, it occupies a unique space in between, addressing both the emotional and the practical sides of our financial lives. Think of it this way. A traditional financial planner can help you create a budget, develop an investment strategy, and plan for retirement. They are experts in the mechanics of money. On the other hand, a traditional therapist can help you navigate anxiety, depression, or relationship issues. They are experts in the landscape of your inner world. A financial therapist, however, is trained to bridge this gap. They understand that our financial decisions are rarely made in a vacuum. They are influenced by a complex web of thoughts, feelings, and past experiences. A financial therapist helps you untangle this web. They can help you explore why you overspend, why you avoid looking at your bank statements, or why you and your partner constantly argue about money. The goal of financial therapy is not just to improve your financial situation, but to enhance your overall well-being. It's about fostering a healthier and more conscious relationship with money, one that is aligned with your values and your life goals. It's about moving from a place of financial stress and anxiety to a place of financial wellness and peace of mind. To give you a clearer picture, let's consider a few common scenarios where financial therapy can be beneficial. Imagine a young professional who earns a good income but is constantly in debt. They might have a budget, but they find themselves unable to stick to it. They make impulsive purchases to cope with stress or to project an image of success. A financial therapist could help this individual explore the underlying emotional triggers for their spending. They could work together to develop healthier coping mechanisms for stress and to build a sense of self-worth that isn't tied to material possessions. Or consider a couple who has recently retired. They have a solid retirement plan, but they find themselves arguing constantly about their spending. One partner is fearful of running out of money and wants to live a very frugal lifestyle, while the other wants to enjoy the fruits of their labor and travel the world. A financial therapist could help this couple understand each other's money stories. They could explore how their upbringings and past experiences have shaped their beliefs about money and security. By fostering open and honest communication, they can help the couple find a middle ground that honors both of their needs and dreams. Another example is an individual who has experienced a sudden financial windfall, such as an inheritance or a lottery win. While this might seem like a dream come true, it can also be a source of significant stress and anxiety. They may feel overwhelmed by the responsibility, or they may find themselves surrounded by people who are suddenly asking for money. A financial therapist can provide a safe and confidential space for this individual to process their emotions and to develop a plan for managing their newfound wealth in a way that is aligned with their values. These are just a few examples, but the applications of financial therapy are broad. It can help with a wide range of issues, including financial anxiety and stress, constantly worrying about money, having trouble sleeping due to financial concerns, or feeling a sense of dread when thinking about your finances, compulsive spending or underspending, an inability to control your spending habits, or on the other end of the spectrum, an extreme reluctance to spend money even on necessities, financial infidelity, hiding purchases or debt from a partner, financial enabling, giving money to others in a way that is detrimental to your own financial well-being, difficulty talking about money with a partner, constant arguments about finances or a complete avoidance of the topic, financial trauma, a past negative experience with money that continues to impact your current financial behaviors. It's important to understand that financial therapists come from diverse professional backgrounds. Some are licensed mental health professionals, such as therapists, counselors, or social workers, who have received specialized training in financial topics. Others are certified financial planners who have pursued additional education in counseling and psychology. The key is that they have expertise in both the financial and the emotional aspects of money. In the United States, the field of financial therapy is still relatively new, but it is growing rapidly as more and more people recognize the profound connection between their financial health and their overall well-being. Organizations like the Financial Therapy Association are working to establish professional standards and to promote the importance of this integrated approach. So, as we conclude this first chapter, we invite you to reflect on your own relationship with money. What are your earliest memories of money? What messages did you receive about money from your family and your culture? How do you feel when you think about your finances? Answering these questions can be the first step toward a more conscious and empowered financial life. In the chapters to come, we will delve deeper into the core principles of financial therapy. We will explore common money scripts, the psychology of financial decision-making, and practical strategies for improving your financial wellness. Remember, this journey is not about judgment or shame. It's about curiosity, self-compassion, and the understanding that you are not alone in your financial struggles. Join us in our next chapter as we explore the concept of money scripts and how these deeply ingrained beliefs can shape your financial destiny. Welcome back. Before we dive into today's topic, we want to reiterate that this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. The content provided is not intended as financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals in these fields, and this material should not be used as a substitute for consultation with a qualified expert. Engaging with this content does not create a professional-client relationship. Any action you take based on the information presented here is strictly at your own risk. Always consult with a licensed professional for advice tailored to your individual situation. Hello, and welcome to the second chapter of our exploration into financial therapy. In our last discussion, we introduced the fundamental concept that our relationship with money is deeply connected to our emotions and past experiences. Today, we're going to build on that foundation by exploring one of the most powerful concepts in financial therapy, money scripts. So what exactly is a money script? The term was popularized by financial psychologists Dr. Brad Klontz and Dr. Ted Klontz. A money script is an unconscious, deeply held belief about money that we typically develop in childhood. These beliefs are like a lens through which we view the financial world. They operate automatically, often outside of our conscious awareness, and drive our financial behaviors and decisions. Think of them as the software running in the background of your mind. You didn't write this software, but it dictates how you interact with money every single day. These scripts are often passed down through generations or absorbed from our culture, our peers, and our personal experiences, especially significant emotional events. For example, if you grew up in a household where money was a constant source of conflict and stress, you might develop a belief that money is inherently bad or dangerous. Conversely, if you saw that money brought happiness and opportunity to your family, you might believe that more money is the ultimate solution to all of life's problems. The key thing to understand is that money scripts aren't necessarily good or bad, right or wrong. However, when we are unconscious of them, they can lead to self-sabotaging and destructive financial patterns. The first step to changing these patterns is to bring these unconscious beliefs into the light. Financial therapy research has identified 4 primary categories of money scripts. As we go through them, see if any of them resonate with you. The first category is money avoidance. People with money avoidance scripts believe that money is a negative force. They might see it as the root of all evil, a source of corruption, or something that is unspiritual. They may believe that rich people are greedy, and that having wealth will somehow make them a bad person. This can manifest in several ways. Someone with a money avoidance script might unconsciously sabotage their own financial success. They might avoid asking for a raise they deserve, undercharge for their services, or give money away to their own detriment. They often feel a great deal of anxiety or disgust when dealing with money, so they simply try not to. This can lead to financial denial, where they avoid looking at bills, bank statements, or their credit card debt. They might feel that they don't deserve money, leading to a cycle of financial struggle. While their intention might be to distance themselves from what they perceive as a corrupting influence, the outcome is often significant financial stress and instability. The second category is money worship. This script is essentially the opposite of money avoidance. Individuals with money worship scripts hold the belief that money is the key to happiness and the solution to all their problems. They often think, if only I had more money, everything in my life would be perfect. They equate their net worth with their self-worth. This belief can lead to some challenging behaviors. For instance, a money worshiper might become a workaholic, sacrificing their health, relationships, and well-being in the relentless pursuit of wealth. They may also be prone to chronic overspending, believing that buying more things will bring them more happiness and fulfillment. They are constantly chasing a sense of satisfaction that money and possessions can never truly provide. This can result in a never-ending cycle of earning and spending, often leading to significant debt and a persistent feeling of emptiness, as they discover that money alone doesn't solve their underlying emotional needs. The third category is money status. This script is closely related to money worship, but with a specific focus on social standing. For people with money status scripts, money is a way to measure success and to project an image of importance. They believe that owning the right things, the expensive car, the big house, the designer clothes, will earn them the respect and admiration of others. Their financial world is driven by a need to keep up with the Joneses. The behavior that stems from this script is often conspicuous consumption. They spend money to show off. They might buy things they can't truly afford, all to maintain a certain image or social status. Social media can amplify this script, as they see curated images of others' seemingly perfect and wealthy lives, creating pressure to present a similar facade. This can be an incredibly stressful and financially precarious way to live, often leading to overwhelming debt and a deep-seated anxiety about what others think of them. Their sense of self is tied not just to having money, but to others knowing they have money. The fourth and final category is money vigilance. On the surface, this script can seem like the most responsible of the four. People with money vigilance scripts are often frugal, cautious, and secretive about their finances. They believe it's important to save for a rainy day and are always on high alert for financial dangers. They are often excellent savers and may be very good at living within their means. However, money vigilance can have a downside when taken to an extreme. An overly vigilant person might be so fearful of financial risk that they refuse to invest their savings, potentially missing out on growth that could secure their long-term future. They might have what's called bag lady syndrome, an irrational fear of becoming destitute, even when they have plenty of money. This constant anxiety can prevent them from enjoying the financial security they have worked so hard to build. They may find it difficult to spend money on themselves or others, even for things that would bring genuine joy or improve their quality of life. Their focus is so heavily on security that they may forget to live. As we've described these four scripts, money avoidance, money worship, money status, and money vigilance, it's likely that one or more of them felt familiar to you. It's also common for people to have a combination of these scripts that influence different areas of their financial lives. The purpose of identifying your money scripts is not to judge yourself. It's about developing self-awareness. By understanding the unconscious beliefs that guide your actions, you can begin to challenge and rewrite them. You can ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Is it still serving me today? Is this belief helping me build the life I truly want? This process of uncovering and questioning your money scripts is a cornerstone of financial therapy. It is the beginning of a journey toward making conscious financial choices. Choices that are based on your current reality and your authentic values, not on outdated software from your past. In our next chapter, we will discuss how to take the next step, challenging these old scripts and beginning the process of creating a new, healthier financial narrative for yourself. Welcome. We are glad you are continuing on this educational journey. As a reminder, this audio series is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. The creators of this content are not licensed professionals, and this material is not a substitute for advice from a qualified expert who can consider your unique circumstances. No professional client relationship is established by participating in this series. Any actions you take based on the information provided are solely at your own risk. Hello and welcome back. In our last chapter, we introduced the powerful concept of money scripts, the unconscious beliefs about money that drive our financial behaviors. We explored the 4 common types: money avoidance, money worship, money status, and money vigilance. Identifying which of these scripts resonates with you is a huge step in self-awareness. But awareness on its own is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when we learn to challenge these outdated scripts and consciously create a new financial story for ourselves. That is our focus for today. So, why is it so important to challenge these beliefs? Because an unexamined money script can act like a faulty GPS, quietly guiding you toward a destination you don't want to go. It can keep you stuck in cycles of debt, prevent you from building wealth, cause conflict in your relationships, and generate a constant state of financial anxiety. These scripts were often formed in childhood, based on a limited set of experiences and observations. They were a child's attempt to make sense of the world. But as an adult, with a different life and different goals, these old rules may no longer be helpful or true. Challenging a money script isn't about blaming your parents or your past. It's about empowerment. It's about recognizing that you have the ability to think critically about your beliefs and decide if they still deserve to hold power over your life. The process of rewriting your story starts with gentle and curious investigation. This isn't about judging yourself, but about becoming a detective of your own inner world. One of the most effective first steps is to simply trace the script back to its origin. Ask yourself some reflective questions. For example, if you identify with a money avoidance script, you might ask, what did I witness growing up that taught me money was bad or something to be feared? Was money a source of arguments in my home? Did I hear phrases like, money is the root of all evil? If you lean toward a money worship script, your questions might be, what experiences taught me that money would solve all my problems? Did I see money bringing happiness and taking away stress for the people around me? Did I feel a lack of something in my childhood that I now believe money can fill? This process of inquiry helps you understand that your script is not an absolute truth. It's a learned perspective. It separates the belief from your identity. You are not your money script. You are a person who learned a particular set of beliefs about money. This separation is crucial because it gives you the space to question the belief's validity. Once you have a better sense of where a script came from, you can begin to examine its impact on your life today. This involves connecting the dots between your beliefs and your behaviors. A helpful technique here is journaling. Take a recent financial decision you made, whether it was a large purchase, a choice to avoid opening a bill, or a conversation you had about money. Write down what happened. Then, try to identify the thoughts and feelings that came up before, during, and after. Finally, ask yourself, which of my money scripts might have been running in the background during this event? For instance, someone with a money status script might realize that their impulse purchase of a luxury watch was driven by the thought, this will show people I'm successful. Someone with a money vigilance script might notice that their intense anxiety about spending money on a vacation, even though they could afford it, was fueled by the underlying belief that you can never be too careful, and a financial disaster is always just around the corner. By consistently practicing this kind of self-observation without judgment, you start to see the script in action. It becomes less of an invisible force and more of a predictable pattern. And once you can predict it, you can begin to intercept it. The next phase is to actively challenge the script with logic and evidence from your adult life. This is where you question the absolute truth of the belief. Let's take the money avoidance belief that rich people are greedy. You could challenge this by asking, is this 100% true? Do I know of any wealthy individuals who are generous philanthropists? Can money be used as a tool for good in the world? The goal is to move away from black and white thinking and embrace a more nuanced and balanced perspective. If your script is, I'll never be good with money, you can search for counter-evidence. Have you ever successfully saved for something you wanted? Do you consistently pay your rent or mortgage on time? Have you ever learned a new skill that was difficult at first? Acknowledging these small successes weakens the power of the negative, all-or-nothing belief. This leads us to the final, most creative step: crafting a new, more empowering financial narrative. Your old money scripts told one version of your story. Now you get to be the author of the next chapter. A new narrative isn't about pretending your past didn't happen. It's about creating a new belief that is more aligned with your current values and goals. This new belief should be positive, personal, and realistic. For example, a person moving away from a money avoidance script might create a new belief like, Money is a tool I can use to create a safe and fulfilling life for myself and my family. Someone challenging a money status script might adopt a new narrative such as, my self-worth is inherent and is not defined by my possessions. I use money to support a life that feels good on the inside, not one that just looks good on the outside. Writing these new narratives down and reviewing them regularly can be incredibly powerful. They act as a compass, helping you to make conscious choices that align with your new story, rather than unconsciously reacting based on the old one. This is not an overnight process. Unlearning beliefs that have been with you for decades takes time, patience, and self-compassion. There will be moments when you fall back into old patterns. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Each time you recognize an old script playing out and choose a different response, you are strengthening your new narrative. Join us in our next chapter, where we will explore the practical side of this new awareness and discuss how to handle common financial triggers and stressors in a healthier, more conscious way. Welcome back. Before we proceed, please remember that this audio series is created for educational and informational purposes only. It is not financial, investment, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals, and this content should not be considered a substitute for advice from a qualified expert who can assess your personal situation. Listening to this audio does not establish a professional-client relationship. Any action you take based on the information discussed is entirely at your own risk. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the fourth chapter in our series exploring financial therapy. In our last session, we talked about the empowering process of identifying, challenging, and beginning to rewrite your personal money scripts. This is deep, meaningful work. But even as we work on our internal beliefs, we still have to live in the external world. A world filled with financial pressures, headlines, and unexpected events. These external events are often what we call financial triggers. A financial trigger is any event, situation, or stimulus that sparks a strong emotional and often automatic behavioral response related to money. These triggers are powerful because they often activate our deepest money scripts. When a trigger hits, it's like a shortcut that bypasses our rational brain and plugs directly into our old, conditioned patterns of thinking and feeling. The conscious, thoughtful author of our new financial story gets pushed aside, and the old, reactive script takes over. Understanding your personal financial triggers is a critical step in managing them effectively. So what do these triggers look like? They can be incredibly varied and are unique to each individual, but there are some common categories. One of the most pervasive triggers in our modern world is social comparison. This can happen when you're scrolling through social media and see friends posting pictures of their lavish vacations, new cars, or home renovations. It can happen at a family gathering when a relative boasts about a recent promotion or a successful investment. For someone with a money status or money worship script, this can trigger feelings of inadequacy, envy, and a compulsive urge to spend in order to keep up or feel better about their own situation. Another common trigger is unexpected financial events. This could be a sudden, large bill, like a car repair or a medical expense. It could be the news of potential layoffs at your company or a downturn in the stock market. For an individual with a money vigilant script, this type of event can trigger intense anxiety, fear, and a feeling of being out of control, causing them to retreat into extreme frugality. For someone with a money avoidance script, it might trigger a desire to ignore the problem altogether, letting the bill sit unopened on the counter. Family and relationships can also be a significant source of financial triggers. A conversation with your partner about the monthly budget, a request for a loan from a family member, or even a discussion about inheritance can stir up powerful emotions and deeply ingrained beliefs about responsibility, fairness, and security. These conversations can easily activate old scripts and lead to conflict if we aren't aware of what's happening beneath the surface. So what happens in our minds and bodies when we are triggered? Our brains are wired for survival. When we perceive a threat, whether it's a physical danger or a financial one, our nervous system can react in the same way. It can initiate a stress response, often referred to as fight, flight, or freeze. The fight response might look like getting angry and argumentative during a conversation about money. It's a defensive posture, an attempt to assert control over a situation that feels threatening. The flight response can manifest as avoidance. This is the urge to run away from the problem, to change the subject, to ignore the bills, to engage in retail therapy, to distract from the uncomfortable feelings. The freeze response is a state of shutdown. This can look like procrastination or complete inaction. You know you need to deal with a financial issue, but you feel paralyzed, overwhelmed, and unable to make a decision. You might find yourself endlessly analyzing the problem without taking any steps to solve it. Recognizing your personal stress response is incredibly valuable. It provides a clue that you've been triggered and that your old scripts are likely at play. The goal is not to eliminate these responses. They are a natural part of being human. Instead, the goal is to create a space between the trigger and your reaction. In that space lies your power to choose a different path. One of the foundational concepts in managing triggers is the practice of the pause. It's the simple yet profound act of stopping before you react. When you feel that surge of anger, anxiety, or the urge to avoid, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Just for a moment. This pause can be as short as taking one deep breath. In that single breath, you interrupt the automatic, unconscious reaction. You give your rational brain a moment to catch up with your emotional brain. This creates an opportunity to respond with intention rather than reacting from a place of fear or old conditioning. During this pause, you can practice a bit of mindfulness. This simply means observing your internal state without judgment. You can silently name what you are feeling. This is anxiety. I'm feeling envy. This is the feeling of being overwhelmed. By naming the emotion, you create a bit of distance from it. You are not the anxiety. You are the person who is experiencing the anxiety. This small shift in perspective can be incredibly grounding. From this calmer, more observant place, you can ask yourself a simple question. What is the next right step, no matter how small? This isn't about solving the entire financial problem in one go. It's about breaking the paralysis of the freeze response, or calming the fire of the fight response. A small step might be deciding to open the bill tomorrow morning. It might be closing the social media app. It might be telling your partner, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, can we talk about this in an hour? Learning to manage your financial triggers is a skill that is developed over time. It requires patience and a commitment to self-awareness. Each time you successfully navigate a trigger without falling into your old reactive patterns, you are actively weakening your old money scripts and reinforcing the new, healthier financial narrative you are trying to build. In our next chapter, we will delve into the complex world of money and relationships. We will explore why it's such a common source of conflict and discuss general concepts for fostering better financial communication and intimacy with a partner. Welcome back to our series. We'd like to remind you that the content of this audio is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals, and this material is not intended to guide your specific situation. No professional client relationship is formed by listening to this series. Any action you choose to take based on this information is strictly at your own risk. Hello, and thank you for joining us for our 5th chapter. Today, we are venturing into one of the most complex and emotionally charged topics in our financial lives: money and relationships. For many couples, money is a leading cause of stress and arguments. It can become a battleground for power struggles, a source of secrets, and a symbol of deeper issues within the relationship. But it doesn't have to be this way. By applying some of the principles of financial therapy, money can also become a tool for building deeper connection, trust, and intimacy. So why is money such a flashpoint for conflict? The answer often lies in the concepts we've already discussed. When two people join their lives, they don't just merge their bank accounts. They merge their entire financial histories, complete with their unique and often unconscious money scripts. Imagine a partnership where one person has a strong money vigilance script. They grew up in a household where money was tight, and they learned to be extremely frugal, save diligently, and avoid debt at all costs. Their partner, however, comes from a background where money was more abundant, and was used to express love and create joyful experiences. This partner may have a money worship script, believing that spending on travel, gifts, and nice dinners is a way to build a happy life together. Neither of these perspectives is inherently right or wrong, but you can see how they could easily clash. The vigilant partner might see their partner's spending as reckless and irresponsible. The other partner might view the vigilant partner's frugality as stingy, controlling, or a rejection of their desire for a shared, enjoyable life. They aren't just arguing about a dinner bill. They are arguing from two completely different sets of deeply ingrained beliefs about what money means and how it should be used. This is why so many fights about money are not really about the money at all.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.
They are about our underlying needs for security, freedom, love, and respect. The first step toward navigating these differences is to approach the topic with curiosity instead of judgment. This involves moving beyond your own financial worldview to try and understand your partner's. A core practice in financial therapy is exploring each other's money story. This is a conversation, not an interrogation. It's about creating a safe space to share the formative experiences that shaped your relationship with money. You might ask each other questions like, what is your earliest memory of money? What did your parents teach you, either directly or indirectly, about earning, spending, and saving? Was money a source of stress or security in your home growing up? What are your biggest financial fears? And what are your biggest financial dreams? Sharing these stories can be a revelation. It helps you see your partner not as an adversary in a financial argument, but as a person with a unique history that makes perfect sense of their behaviors. It builds empathy and understanding, which are the foundations of any healthy conversation about a difficult topic. From this place of understanding, you can begin to build what is known as financial intimacy. This is the ability to be open, honest, and vulnerable with each other about your finances. It means moving away from secrets and avoidance, and toward transparency and teamwork. For many, this is a scary prospect. It requires a great deal of trust. Financial intimacy doesn't mean you have to agree on everything. It means you are both committed to working through your disagreements respectfully and collaboratively. It's about shifting from a you versus me mentality to a we mentality. The conversation changes from, why did you spend so much? To how can we create a spending plan that honors both of our needs? One of the most effective tools for fostering these conversations is to focus on shared values and goals. Instead of getting bogged down in the day-to-day details of every transaction, start with the big picture. What kind of life do you want to build together? Do you value security, adventure, generosity, or early retirement? When you can agree on the destination, it becomes much easier to negotiate the path you will take to get there. Creating a shared vision allows you to frame your financial decisions as choices that move you closer to your collective goals. A budget is no longer a restrictive document designed to limit your fun. It becomes a strategic plan designed to make your shared dreams a reality. Communicating about money is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. It can be helpful to set aside dedicated time for these conversations, so they don't ambush you in the middle of a stressful day. Approach these money dates with a spirit of collaboration. The goal is not to win an argument, but to understand each other and find solutions that work for both of you. Navigating money in a relationship is a continuous journey, not a one-time fix. It requires ongoing communication, empathy, and a willingness to understand a perspective that is different from your own. But by investing in your financial intimacy, you are also investing in the overall health and resilience of your relationship. In our next chapter, we will shift our focus to the practical application of these concepts and explore the idea of mindful spending and values-based budgeting. Welcome! Before we begin today's discussion, we must remind you that this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. The information presented is not financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice, and it should not be taken as such. We are not licensed professionals. This series does not create a professional-client relationship and is not a substitute for consulting with a qualified expert about your individual circumstances. Any action you take upon the information presented is strictly at your own risk. Hello, and welcome to the 6th chapter of our journey into financial therapy. We have traveled from the depths of our unconscious money scripts to the complexities of financial triggers and the dynamics of money in our relationships. The common thread throughout this exploration has been the power of awareness. Today, we bring that awareness to one of our most frequent financial activities: spending. We will explore the concepts of mindful spending and how to align our financial choices with our core personal values. For many of us, spending is an automatic, almost unconscious act. We see something we want, we feel an impulse, and we buy it. We are influenced by advertising, social pressure, and our own emotional states. A tough day at work might lead to an online shopping spree. A feeling of boredom might result in an expensive dinner out. This is what we might call unconscious spending. It's reactive, driven by in-the-moment feelings and external cues rather than internal intention. Mindful spending is the direct opposite. It is the practice of bringing conscious awareness to the act of spending money. It's about creating a pause between the impulse and the action. This is the same pause we discussed when managing financial triggers. In this space, you can ask questions, not from a place of judgment or restriction, but from a place of curiosity. You might ask yourself, Why do I want to buy this? What feeling am I hoping to get from this purchase? Is this purchase aligned with the life I truly want to build? Mindfulness in this context isn't about depriving yourself of things you enjoy. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about ensuring that your financial resources are flowing toward the things that bring you genuine, lasting fulfillment, rather than being drained away by impulsive buys that provide only a fleeting sense of satisfaction. It's the difference between buying a new gadget because you're bored and investing in a hobby that brings you consistent joy. It's the difference between ordering takeout every night out of habit and saving for a special dinner with loved ones that will create a lasting memory. This concept of mindful spending is the practical application of a much deeper idea: creating a values-based financial plan. Let's talk about the word budget. For many people, that word alone can trigger feelings of anxiety, restriction, and even shame. It sounds like a financial diet, full of things you can't do. This is why traditional budgeting often fails. It feels like a system of deprivation imposed upon you. A values-based approach flips this entire concept on its head. It doesn't start with numbers. It starts with a simple, yet profound question. What is most important to you? This is not a financial question, it's a life question. Your core values are the principles that guide you. They are your personal definition of a life well lived. Your values might be things like security, freedom, adventure, community, creativity, health, or generosity. The first step in this approach is to simply identify what your top 3 to 5 core values are. Once you have clarity on your values, you can look at your finances through a new lens. A financial plan, or a spending plan as some prefer to call it, is no longer a tool of restriction. It becomes a tool for alignment. It is a way to ensure that your money, which represents your time, your energy, and your life force, is being used to support the things you value most. Let's look at a few general examples. If one of your core values is security, your spending plan would naturally reflect that. Seeing money allocated to savings, an emergency fund, or debt reduction would not feel like a deprivation. It would feel like you are taking care of your future self. It would align directly with what matters most to you. If a core value is adventure, your financial plan might include a dedicated fund for travel. Every dollar you put into that fund is a vote for your values. Saying no to a minor, impulsive purchase becomes easier, not because you're on a strict budget, but because you're saying yes to a future trip to the mountains or the sea. If you value community, your spending might be intentionally directed toward hosting dinners for friends, buying meaningful gifts, or donating to local causes. You would be using your financial resources to nurture the relationships and connections that are most important to you. Do you see the shift? This approach transforms financial management from a chore into an act of self-care and intention. You are no longer just tracking expenses. You are curating your life. You are making active, conscious choices to build a life that is rich in what matters to you, which may or may not be material possessions. This process is deeply personal. There is no right set of values. A plan that works for someone who values security will look very different from a plan for someone who values spontaneity and freedom. This is why comparing your financial life to someone else's is often a fruitless exercise. Your financial journey is yours alone, and it should be a reflection of your unique values. By practicing mindful spending on a daily basis, and using your core values as the foundation for your overall financial plan, you create a powerful system of integrity. Your daily actions begin to line up with your long-term vision. This alignment is one of the most powerful sources of financial peace and well-being. In our next chapter, we will address the significant and often overwhelming topic of debt, exploring it through the compassionate and non-judgmental lens of financial therapy. Welcome. Before we begin, we must reiterate that this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. The information presented does not constitute financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals, and this content is not a substitute for guidance from a qualified expert who can analyze your unique situation. No professional client relationship is established by listening to this series. Any action you take based on the information discussed is solely at your own risk. Hello, and welcome back to our exploration of financial therapy. Today, we are going to address a topic that affects millions of Americans and carries an immense emotional weight: debt. In our society, debt is often discussed in purely mathematical terms: interest rates, balances, and repayment plans. But for anyone who has experienced it, debt is far from just a numbers problem. It is a deeply emotional issue, often shrouded in feelings of shame, guilt, anxiety, and even hopelessness. In the world of financial therapy, the goal is to first address this emotional reality. Before one can effectively address the numbers on the page, it's often necessary to understand the story behind them. Why? Because for many, debt is a symptom, not the root cause. It can be the external manifestation of our internal money scripts and our reactions to financial triggers. Consider how different money scripts can lead to debt. Someone with a strong money status script might accumulate significant credit card debt, trying to maintain a lifestyle that projects an image of success. An individual with a money worship script might borrow heavily for investments or business ventures, believing that more money will solve all their problems. And someone with a money avoidance script might fall into debt simply by not opening their bills, allowing late fees and interest to accumulate because the anxiety of facing their financial reality is too overwhelming. Furthermore, debt can be the result of using spending as a coping mechanism. When we feel stressed, sad, or inadequate, a quick purchase can provide a temporary lift, a small dopamine hit that distracts us from the uncomfortable emotion. Over time, this pattern of emotional spending can lead to a significant debt load, which in turn creates more stress, leading to a self-perpetuating cycle often called a debt spiral. The first and most crucial step in approaching debt from a therapeutic perspective is to practice de-shaming. In American culture, there is often a powerful narrative that equates debt with moral failure. It can make people feel irresponsible, foolish, or out of control. This shame is not only painful, it is also counterproductive. Shame often drives us into hiding. It makes us want to avoid the problem, to keep it a secret from our partners and families, and to resist seeking help. Financial therapy invites a more compassionate and curious approach. It involves looking at your debt not as a reflection of your character, but as the result of a series of behaviors, beliefs, and life circumstances. It encourages you to separate your self-worth from your net worth. You are not your debt. You are a whole person who is currently dealing with a financial challenge. This separation is vital. It creates the mental and emotional space needed to address the problem from a place of empowerment rather than a place of fear. This compassionate approach also involves acknowledging the external factors at play. People enter into debt for many reasons that are outside of their control. A medical emergency, a job loss, a divorce, or the rising cost of education. Acknowledging these realities is not about making excuses. It is about creating a more accurate and holistic story of how you arrived at your current situation. Once you begin to release the shame, you can start to look at the debt with more clarity. A core concept here is learning to face the reality without being overwhelmed by it. This is where the skill of managing emotional triggers, which we discussed in a previous chapter, becomes essential. The act of listing out all your debts, for example, can be incredibly triggering. It can activate a freeze response, making you feel paralyzed. A therapeutic approach acknowledges this difficulty. It focuses on taking small, manageable steps to build a sense of agency. The goal is not to solve everything overnight, but to slowly build confidence in your ability to face the information. The focus is on the process, not just the outcome. It's about building a new relationship with your finances, one based on honesty and awareness rather than avoidance and fear. It is about understanding the why behind the debt. By looking at your debt history with curiosity, you can identify patterns. You might notice that your credit card balance tends to increase during periods of high stress at work, or after you spend time with certain people. This awareness is where real change begins. It allows you to address the root causes of the behavior, rather than just treating the symptom. Addressing the emotional side of debt is the foundational work. It creates a stable platform from which you can then explore practical solutions with qualified professionals. Without this internal work, even the best-laid plans can be sabotaged by old scripts and unmanaged emotional triggers. By bringing compassion and curiosity to your financial life, you begin to dismantle the power that debt has over your emotional well-being. In our next chapter, we will continue this theme by exploring the pervasive issue of financial anxiety and discuss concepts for cultivating a greater sense of financial peace of mind. Welcome! Before we delve into today's topic, we want to remind you that this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. The content provided is not intended as financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals, and this material should not be used as a substitute for consultation with a qualified expert. Engaging with this content does not create a professional-client relationship. Any action you take based on the information presented here is strictly at your own risk. Hello, and thank you for joining us for our 8th chapter. We've discussed the beliefs that shape our financial lives and the emotional weight of challenges like debt. Today, we turn our attention to an experience that is incredibly common, yet often silently endured: financial anxiety. It's important to distinguish between normal financial concern and financial anxiety. Being concerned about paying your bills or saving for the future is a rational and often healthy response that can motivate positive action. Financial anxiety, however, is different. It is a persistent and often overwhelming state of worry, fear, or unease about your finances that can negatively impact your quality of life. It's a feeling of dread that lingers, even when things are objectively okay. It can affect anyone, regardless of their income level or net worth. Financial anxiety can manifest in many ways. Emotionally, it might look like obsessive thoughts about money that you can't turn off. You might find yourself constantly ruminating on worst-case scenarios, leading to irritability, difficulty concentrating, or a pervasive sense of impending doom. Physically, this chronic stress can take a toll. It might show up as difficulty sleeping, tension headaches, muscle aches, or digestive issues. It's crucial to note that if you are experiencing severe physical or emotional symptoms, it is always best to consult with a qualified medical or mental health professional. So where does this anxiety come from? Often, its roots are intertwined with the money scripts we discussed earlier. Someone with a powerful money vigilance script, for instance, is a prime candidate for financial anxiety. Their core belief that a financial catastrophe is always just around the corner can keep them in a constant state of high alert, unable to enjoy the security they may have worked hard to build. Financial triggers can also pour fuel on the fire of anxiety. A news headline about inflation, a conversation with a friend about the stock market, or even just opening an email from a financial institution can be enough to send someone with financial anxiety into a spiral of worry. One of the hallmark cognitive patterns of anxiety is what's known as catastrophizing, or the what-if spiral. The mind latches onto a fear and plays it out to the most extreme, negative conclusion. It starts with a simple thought, like, I haven't saved enough for retirement. This thought then spirals. What if I can never afford to retire? What if I end up as a burden on my children? What if I run out of money and end up homeless? The mind races from one terrifying possibility to the next, leaving you feeling helpless and overwhelmed. The lens of financial therapy offers a way to understand and work with this anxiety, not by offering specific financial fixes, but by focusing on the internal experience. One of the foundational concepts is learning to differentiate between what you can control and what you cannot. So much of financial anxiety stems from worrying about things that are entirely outside of our personal control. The direction of the global economy, the performance of the stock market, or the decisions made by politicians. While it's important to be aware of these things, obsessing over them is a recipe for chronic stress. A therapeutic approach encourages a shift in focus toward your personal circle of influence. You cannot control inflation, but you can pay attention to your own spending. You cannot control the stock market, but you can continue to learn about your own financial plan. This shift doesn't eliminate the external uncertainties, but it redirects your mental and emotional energy toward productive, empowering actions rather than draining, helpless worry. Another powerful concept is embracing the idea of good enough. Anxiety often thrives on perfectionism. It tells you that you need to find the perfect investment, create the perfect budget, or make the perfect decision to be safe. The pressure to be perfect is paralyzing. It can lead to a freeze response, where you are so afraid of making a mistake that you do nothing at all. Financial therapy suggests that the goal is not perfection, but progress. It's about making a good enough decision with the information you have today, and trusting in your ability to adapt and adjust as you go. When you find yourself caught in an anxiety spiral, the immediate goal is not to solve the entire financial problem, but to calm your nervous system. Mindfulness and grounding techniques can be very helpful here. Anxiety pulls your mind into a catastrophic future. Grounding brings you back to the safety of the present moment. This can be as simple as pausing to take 3 slow, deliberate breaths. You can focus on the physical sensation of the air entering and leaving your body, or you can place your feet flat on the floor and focus all of your attention on the feeling of the ground beneath you. These simple actions act as an anchor, interrupting the spiral of anxious thoughts and reminding your body that in this present moment, you are okay. Understanding financial anxiety is the first step toward loosening its grip. It's about recognizing it when it shows up, getting curious about its triggers and its roots in your money scripts, and gently guiding your attention back to the present and toward the things you have the power to influence. In our next chapter, we will build on this idea by exploring the concept of financial resilience, the ability to withstand and recover from financial shocks and setbacks. Welcome. Before we begin today's session, we must remind you that this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. The information shared is not financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals, and this content should not be used as a substitute for advice from a qualified expert who can consider your unique circumstances. Listening to this series does not establish a professional-client relationship. Any action you take based on the information provided is solely at your own risk. Hello, and thank you for joining us for our 9th chapter. In our last discussion, we explored the internal world of financial anxiety. Today, we're going to talk about a quality that helps us navigate not only that anxiety, but also the inevitable ups and downs of our financial lives: financial resilience. When we hear the word resilience, we often think of the ability to bounce back from adversity. Financial resilience is exactly that. It is the internal capacity to cope with, adapt to, and recover from financial stress and setbacks. It is not about being immune to hardship. A job loss, a market downturn, or an unexpected medical bill will be stressful for anyone. Resilience is about how we respond to that stress. It's the psychological strength that allows us to bend without breaking. It's important to understand that financial resilience is not simply about having a large amount of money in the bank. While financial resources are certainly helpful, true resilience is an inner quality, a mindset, and a set of skills that can be cultivated regardless of your current income or net worth. It is built upon the foundation of the concepts we've already explored: self-awareness, emotional regulation, and intentionality. Let's explore some of the key psychological pillars of financial resilience. The first pillar is adaptability and flexible thinking. Life is unpredictable. A rigid financial plan or a rigid set of expectations can shatter when faced with an unexpected event. Financial resilience is fostered by cognitive flexibility, the ability to adjust your thinking and your approach in response to new information or changing circumstances. This is the opposite of black and white, catastrophic thinking. For example, a rigid mindset might say, "My entire plan was based on my current job. If I lose it, my life is ruined." This kind of thinking leads to feelings of hopelessness and paralysis. A more flexible, resilient mindset would sound like, "Losing my job would be a major challenge and would disrupt my plan. It will be difficult, but I have skills and experience. I can reevaluate my path and explore new options." This mindset acknowledges the difficulty without succumbing to despair. It opens the door to problem-solving and action, rather than shutting it with fear. The second pillar is a strong sense of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is a term from psychology that means your belief in your own ability to succeed in specific situations or accomplish a task. In a financial context, it's the quiet confidence that you can handle what comes your way. It's not about knowing all the answers in advance. It's about trusting in your ability to find the answers when you need them. This belief isn't built overnight. It's built through experience. It comes from facing small challenges and navigating them successfully. Every time you make a conscious financial choice that aligns with your values, every time you face a financial fear instead of avoiding it, you are providing yourself with evidence of your own capability. You are strengthening your sense of self-efficacy. This is why the journey toward financial well-being is often about progress, not perfection. Small, consistent steps are what build this deep, internal trust in yourself. The third pillar of financial resilience is social connection and support. We live in a culture that often celebrates rugged individualism, but the truth is that resilience is rarely a solo act. Humans are wired for connection. Having a strong support system, be it family, friends, or a partner, is a critical component of our ability to weather any kind of storm, including a financial one. Financial struggles can be incredibly isolating due to the shame and stigma often associated with them. A resilient approach involves challenging this stigma and recognizing that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. This help might be practical, but more often than not, it's emotional. Having someone you can talk to openly about your fears and stresses without fear of judgment can make an enormous difference in your ability to cope. It reminds you that you are not alone, and it can provide you with the perspective and encouragement you need to keep moving forward. The final pillar we'll discuss today is having a sense of purpose and perspective. When our entire identity and sense of self-worth are tied to our job, our income, or our net worth, a financial setback can feel like a personal failure of catastrophic proportions. It can feel like we have lost everything because we have defined everything in purely financial terms. Resilience is fostered by cultivating a sense of purpose and identity that is broader and deeper than your balance sheet. This connects back to our discussion on values. When you know what is truly important to you, your relationships, your creativity, your health, your community, you have an anchor. A financial loss is still painful, but it doesn't destroy the core of who you are. This broader perspective allows you to see the setback as a chapter in your life, not the entire story. It provides the why that can motivate you to navigate the how of a difficult situation. Building financial resilience is an ongoing practice. It's about strengthening your mindset, trusting in your capabilities, nurturing your relationships, and staying connected to your values. These are the internal resources that will carry you through any external financial challenge. In our next chapter, we will delve into a more sensitive and profound topic: understanding and healing from financial trauma. Welcome. The following chapter discusses sensitive topics, including trauma. Please listen with care. The content of this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. It does not constitute and is not a substitute for professional mental health, financial, legal, or tax advice. We are not licensed professionals. If you believe you are suffering from trauma or any other mental health condition, please seek help from a qualified therapist or medical professional. No professional-client relationship is formed by listening to this series. Hello, and welcome to the 10th chapter of our series. Today we are broaching a deeply important and sensitive subject: financial trauma. This is a term that is gaining recognition as we begin to understand the profound and lasting impact that our financial experiences can have on our nervous systems, our beliefs, and our overall well-being. So what is financial trauma? It is more than just financial stress. Financial trauma is a psychological and emotional response to a distressing financial event or a chronic condition of financial insecurity that is so overwhelming it shatters your sense of safety and stability. It overwhelms your ability to cope, and it leaves a lasting imprint on your mind and body. The key here is the feeling of helplessness and the perceived threat to your survival. Financial trauma can stem from a wide range of experiences. Sometimes it is the result of a single, acute event, what some might call a big T trauma. This could be a sudden and devastating business failure, a personal bankruptcy, a home foreclosure, or being the victim of a significant financial scam or fraud. It's an event that pulls the rug out from under you, leaving you feeling profoundly unsafe. However, financial trauma can also be the result of chronic, ongoing circumstances, or little t traumas. This could include growing up in deep poverty, where the threat of not having enough food or shelter was a constant reality. It could be witnessing years of intense, frightening arguments about money between your parents. It can also be a result of economic abuse in a relationship, where money is used as a tool for power and control, leaving the victim feeling trapped and powerless. Whether the cause is a single event or a chronic condition, the after effects can look similar. A person who has experienced financial trauma may find that their relationship with money is governed by extreme, and often unconscious, survival responses. For some, this manifests as extreme financial avoidance. The act of opening a bill, checking a bank account, or even talking about money can be so triggering that it activates the body's freeze response. The anxiety is so intense that they simply shut down, which can, unfortunately, make the financial situation worse. For others, the response can be hypervigilance. This looks like the money vigilance script we discussed, but amplified to an extreme degree. A person may hoard cash, be terrified of any and all risk, and live in a constant state of fear about losing everything. Even if they are objectively financially secure, they can never relax, because their nervous system is still stuck in the belief that a catastrophe is imminent. A less obvious, but equally powerful, response can be financial recklessness. For some individuals, a history of financial trauma can lead to a sense of nihilism or a what's-the-point attitude. They might engage in compulsive spending, gambling, or extremely risky financial behaviors as a way to feel something, to dissociate from the pain, or because on an unconscious level, they believe they will lose it all anyway, so they might as well get rid of it themselves. It's critical to understand that these are not character flaws. They are not signs of being bad with money. They are trauma responses. They are the mind and body's attempt to protect itself from re-experiencing an overwhelming threat. So, what does it mean to heal from financial trauma? First and foremost, it is essential to state that healing from any form of trauma is a complex and delicate process. It is not a do-it-yourself project. If any of what we've discussed today resonates with your experience, the most important step you can take is to seek support from a qualified, trauma-informed mental health professional. The purpose of our discussion today is not to provide a treatment plan.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided,
but to provide validation and awareness. It is to help you connect the dots between a past experience and your present-day struggles. Understanding that your intense reactions may be rooted in trauma can be an incredibly powerful and de-shaming first step. It helps you shift from self-blame, "What's wrong with me?" to self-compassion. "My response makes sense given what I've been through." From a therapeutic perspective, the journey of healing often involves a few key principles. The first is always establishing safety in the present. A traumatized nervous system is stuck in the past, constantly scanning for danger. Healing involves gently and slowly helping your body learn that the threat is over and that you are safe now. Another part of the process is creating a coherent narrative. Trauma can shatter our memories and our sense of time. Healing often involves putting the story of what happened together in a way that makes sense, so it becomes a memory that you have, rather than a terrifying event that is constantly reliving itself through flashbacks and body sensations. And above all, healing from financial trauma requires immense self-compassion. It involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend who has been through a devastating experience. It means allowing yourself to grieve the losses you've endured, whether it's the loss of money, security, or trust. Acknowledging the reality of financial trauma is a crucial step in having a more compassionate and holistic conversation about money. It reminds us that behind every balance sheet, there is a human being with a story. In our next chapter, we will discuss the broader connection between our financial health and our overall mental health. Welcome. The following discussion explores the connection between financial and mental health. Please be aware that this is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health, medical, or financial advice. We are not licensed clinicians or financial advisors. If you are struggling with your mental health, please seek help from a qualified and licensed professional. Listening to this audio does not create a professional-client relationship. Hello, and welcome back to our 11th chapter. In our journey so far, we have explored the deep psychological roots of our financial behaviors. Today we are going to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The powerful, bidirectional relationship between our financial health and our overall mental health. These two critical aspects of our lives are not separate. They are deeply intertwined, each one constantly influencing the other in a continuous cycle. For decades, conversations about money focused on spreadsheets and investments, while conversations about mental health happened in entirely different rooms. We now understand that this separation creates an incomplete picture. True well-being requires us to acknowledge the profound connection between our minds and our money. Let's first look at how financial stress can impact our mental health. When we experience chronic financial stress, the constant worry about debt, the fear of an unexpected bill, or the pressure of living paycheck to paycheck, our bodies can get stuck in a state of high alert. This persistent activation of our stress response system can be a significant contributor to the development or worsening of anxiety. The feeling of being out of control financially can easily bleed into a generalized feeling of anxiety about all aspects of life. Similarly, there is a strong link between financial hardship and depression. The feelings of hopelessness, shame, and helplessness that can accompany challenges like significant debt, job loss, or bankruptcy are also core symptoms of depression. When our financial struggles make the future look bleak, it can be incredibly difficult to maintain a sense of optimism and motivation. Furthermore, financial stress can isolate us. Arguments about money can strain our most important relationships, eroding the very support systems we need most when we're struggling. The shame associated with financial problems can also cause us to withdraw from friends and social activities, deepening feelings of loneliness and isolation, which are known risk factors for poor mental health. Now let's look at the cycle from the other direction. How our mental health can impact our financial health. Managing money requires a set of skills that psychologists call executive functions. Things like planning, organization, impulse control, and sustained focus. Many common mental health challenges can directly impair these skills, making financial management significantly more difficult. For example, someone experiencing depression may struggle with low energy, fatigue, and a lack of motivation. For them, the seemingly simple tasks of creating a budget, paying bills on time, or even opening the mail can feel monumental. This can lead to late fees, accumulating debt, and a worsening financial situation, which in turn can deepen the depression. Someone living with an anxiety disorder might find themselves in a state of financial paralysis. They may be so overwhelmed by the fear of making a wrong decision that they avoid making any decisions at all. They might leave large sums of money in a low-yield savings account because the thought of investing is too terrifying, or they might endlessly research options without ever taking action. Certain conditions can also be associated with impulsivity. When a person is in a state where their impulse control is low, they might be more prone to compulsive shopping or making risky financial choices that can have long-term negative consequences. It's important to understand this not as a personal failing, but as a symptom of an underlying mental health challenge that requires compassionate support. This is the cycle in action. Financial problems can harm our mental health, and poor mental health can harm our finances. Getting stuck in this loop can feel incredibly discouraging. This is precisely why a holistic approach like financial therapy is so important. It recognizes that you cannot effectively address one side of the coin without acknowledging the other. Trying to fix a person's budget without understanding the anxiety that drives their financial avoidance is unlikely to succeed. Similarly, treating a person's depression without acknowledging the real-world stress of their financial situation ignores a major piece of the puzzle. The goal is to foster well-being across the board. The process involves developing coping mechanisms for the emotional stress, while also building practical awareness around the financial behaviors. It's about understanding that working to reduce your financial anxiety is a vital step toward making clearer financial choices. It's recognizing that taking one small, manageable step to organize your finances can provide a powerful boost to your sense of agency and self-esteem, which can have positive ripple effects on your mental health. The key takeaway is to approach your own situation with compassion and a holistic perspective. Your financial life is not separate from your emotional life. They are both part of your story. By honoring this connection, you can begin to make choices that support your entire well-being, leading to a greater sense of peace and stability in both your mind and your money. In our next chapter, we will explore how to set meaningful financial goals that are rooted in your values and contribute to your overall life satisfaction. Welcome. Before we proceed, we want to remind you that the content of this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals in these fields, and this material should not be used to guide your specific circumstances. No professional client relationship is formed by listening to this series. Hello, and welcome back to our 12th chapter. We've spent a significant amount of time exploring our past, our money scripts, our triggers, and the emotional history that shapes our financial lives. Today, we turn our gaze toward the future. We're going to talk about setting financial goals, but we're going to approach it through the holistic and psychologically minded lens of financial therapy. Traditional financial goal setting often starts with numbers. What is the net worth you want to achieve? By what age do you want to retire? How large of a down payment do you need? While these numbers can be useful metrics, a purely numerical approach can often feel sterile, intimidating, and disconnected from what truly makes us happy. It can also be a trap, leading us to chase goals that have been prescribed by society, our families, or our unexamined money scripts, rather than goals that are authentically our own. A therapeutic approach to goal setting doesn't begin with a spreadsheet. It begins with introspection. It asks not, what do you want to have? But who do you want to be, and what kind of life do you want to live? The goal is to set goals with soul, financial objectives that are a direct expression of your core values, and that contribute to your overall well-being. One of the most important distinctions in this approach is understanding the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic goals are focused on external rewards and validation. I want to own a luxury car to show people I'm successful, is an extrinsic goal. It's driven by the desire for status and the approval of others. I want to have $1 million in the bank can also be an extrinsic goal if the primary driver is a sense of social standing. Intrinsic goals, on the other hand, are pursued for the inherent satisfaction and personal fulfillment they bring. I want to build my savings so I have the freedom and security to change careers, is an intrinsic goal. The focus is on an internal feeling, freedom and security. The money is simply the tool to help you achieve that feeling. Research in psychology consistently shows that people who pursue intrinsic goals report higher levels of happiness and well-being than those who focus on extrinsic ones. A financial therapy perspective encourages you to dig beneath the surface of your financial goals. If you have a goal to buy a bigger house, ask yourself why. Is it because you value hospitality and want more space to host your community, intrinsic? Or is it because you feel pressure to keep up with your peers, extrinsic? Being honest with yourself about your true motivation is the key to setting goals that will genuinely enrich your life. Another key principle is to focus on the process, not just the destination. Rigidly fixating on a distant, lofty goal can create a great deal of anxiety. It can create an all-or-nothing mindset where anything short of the final number feels like a failure. A healthier approach is to design a process and celebrate the positive habits you build along the way. Instead of being obsessed with a specific retirement number, you can find satisfaction in the process of learning about your financial options, or in the consistent habit of directing resources toward your future. This approach fosters a sense of agency and accomplishment in the present moment, which is far more sustainable and mentally healthy. It is also powerful to frame your goals as approach goals, rather than avoidance goals. An avoidance goal is focused on moving away from something you fear. My goal is to not be in debt is an avoidance goal. While the intention is good, the framing keeps your mind focused on the negative, debt. An approach goal is focused on moving towards something positive. You could reframe the same intention as, my goal is to build a life with greater financial flexibility and peace of mind. This positive framing is more empowering and inspiring. It pulls you toward a desirable future rather than just pushing you away from a feared one. Finally, a therapeutic approach to goal setting is steeped in self-compassion. It acknowledges that life is messy and unpredictable. You will have setbacks. You will make mistakes. A rigid, perfectionistic approach to your goals can lead to shame and burnout the moment you deviate from the plan. A compassionate approach involves building flexibility into your goals. It allows for course corrections. It means treating a misstep not as a failure, but as a learning opportunity. It's about being as kind and encouraging to yourself as you would be to a good friend on the same journey. Ultimately, this way of thinking encourages you to realize that you are often not chasing a number, but a feeling. The goal isn't just the money, it's the sense of security, freedom, peace, or generosity that you believe the money will provide. By identifying that desired feeling first, you can start to create a life that cultivates it now, even as you work toward your long-term financial objectives. In our next chapter, we will explore the concept of enough and how to navigate the pervasive cultural pressure for more. Welcome! Before we begin today's exploration, a reminder that this audio series is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals in these fields. Listening to this audio does not create a professional-client relationship, and you should always consult with a qualified expert for guidance on your specific situation. Hello, and welcome back to our 13th chapter. In our last session, we discussed setting financial goals that are aligned with our souls and our deepest values. Today, we are going to explore a concept that is both a natural extension of that conversation and a radical counterpoint to our modern culture. The idea of enough. We live in a society that is built on the engine of more. We are constantly bombarded with messages that we need a bigger house, a newer car, the latest technology, and a larger investment portfolio. The underlying assumption is that more is always better, and that our happiness and success are directly proportional to the amount we can accumulate. This relentless pursuit can feel like being on a treadmill, running faster and faster, but never truly arriving at a destination of contentment. Financial therapy invites us to step off this treadmill and ask a powerful and deeply personal question. What is my enough? Defining enough is not about deprivation or scarcity. It is not about settling for a life that is less than you desire. On the contrary, it is about discovering the point at which you have the resources to live a rich, meaningful, and fulfilling life on your own terms. It is the point where the pursuit of more money or more things begins to cost you more than it gives you. Costing you your time, your health, your relationships, or your peace of mind. This endless desire for more is often fueled by the psychological phenomena we've already discussed. A money status script can convince us that we need to constantly upgrade our lifestyle to prove our worth. The trigger of social comparison, amplified by social media, constantly shifts the goalposts. The moment we achieve a certain level of success, we see someone else who has more, and suddenly our enough feels inadequate. This is a well-documented psychological principle, known as the hedonic treadmill. Humans have a remarkable ability to adapt to their circumstances. When we get a pay raise or buy a new possession, there is an initial spike in happiness. But very quickly we adapt. That new level becomes our baseline, and we begin looking for the next thing to give us another spike. We are always chasing a feeling that, by its very nature, is fleeting. This also shows up as lifestyle creep. As our income increases, so does our spending. The luxuries of yesterday become the necessities of today. Without conscious intention, we can double or triple our income over the years and still feel like we are living paycheck to paycheck, never reaching that elusive feeling of having enough. So, How do we get off this treadmill? The process of defining your enough is an act of introspection, not calculation. It's about connecting with the values we've discussed before. Enough is the amount of financial resource that fully supports a life aligned with your core values. For one person whose highest value is security, enough might look like a paid-off home and a robust savings account. For another, who values adventure, enough might be the resources to travel the world lightly, without being tied down by possessions. To begin this exploration for yourself, you can reflect on some powerful questions. First, what does a truly rich life feel like to me, beyond money and material things? Is it rich in time, rich in connection, rich in creativity, rich in experiences? Second, at what point does the pursuit of more money require me to sacrifice something I value even more? This is the point of diminishing returns. Does earning that extra income mean working so much that you sacrifice your health? Does it mean missing out on time with your children or partner? Does it leave you with no energy for the hobbies that truly light you up? Being honest about these trade-offs is crucial. And a third question. If I were to release the anxiety of always needing more, what would I have the freedom to do or to be right now? This question helps you see that contentment is not a destination you arrive at when you hit a certain number in your bank account. It is a state of mind that you can choose to cultivate. Finding your enough is a profound act of liberation. It frees you from the exhausting and often unwinnable game of social comparison. It frees you from the anxiety that you are always behind. It grants you permission to be present, to feel gratitude for what you have, and to enjoy the journey of your life as it is today. This doesn't mean you stop growing, saving, or planning for the future. It means you do so from a place of sufficiency, not a place of lack. Your actions become guided by your internal values, not by external pressures. Defining enough is not a one-time decision. It will likely change as you move through different stages of your life. But a commitment to regularly engaging with the question is one of the most powerful things you can do for your financial and emotional well-being. In our next chapter, we will discuss how to navigate major life transitions and the financial shifts they bring with them. Welcome. Before we proceed, please remember that this audio series is created for educational and informational purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional guidance. The content is not financial, investment, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals. Major life transitions often require guidance from qualified experts, and we encourage you to consult with them for advice tailored to your personal situation. Hello, and welcome back to the 14th chapter of our series. We have journeyed through the internal landscape of our financial psychology, from our childhood scripts to our definition of enough. Today, we turn our attention to the moments when this internal world is most profoundly tested and reshaped. During major life transitions, life is not a straight line. It is a series of seasons and crossroads. Getting married, changing careers, welcoming a child, navigating a divorce, retiring, or losing a loved one. These are not just entries on a timeline. They are seismic shifts that change our identities, challenge our beliefs, and fundamentally alter our relationship with money. A financial therapy perspective recognizes that you cannot navigate the finances of a transition without first acknowledging the profound psychological and emotional currents that are at play. At their core, all major transitions involve a degree of uncertainty and a loss of the familiar. This uncertainty can be a significant source of stress and anxiety, which, as we know, can activate our most reactive and unhelpful money scripts. The conscious, intentional self can get sidelined, and we may find ourselves making decisions from a place of fear, grief, or societal pressure. Let's consider a few of these crossroads through a therapeutic lens. When you form a partnership or get married, you are doing more than just combining assets. You are merging two separate financial histories, two sets of money scripts, and two families of origin with their own unique cultures around money. A money-vigilant person partnering with someone who has a money avoidance script can lead to significant conflict if those underlying beliefs are not brought into the open with compassion and curiosity. The key therapeutic task here is not just to create a budget, but to co-author a new, shared financial narrative that honors both individuals' histories while creating a unified path forward. A career change or a job loss is another profound transition. Our jobs in American society are often deeply tied to our sense of identity, purpose, and self-worth. Losing a job is not just a loss of income, it's a loss of routine, of a social circle, and for many, a loss of a core part of who they are. During this time, it's natural to feel fear and pressure to make quick decisions. The psychological work involves grieving the loss, managing the anxiety of the unknown, and reconnecting with your values to ensure that your next step is aligned with the life you truly want to live, not just the first opportunity that comes along. Welcoming a child into your life is a joyful event, but it is also a transition that can activate our deepest-seated beliefs about security and responsibility. Suddenly, the concept of the future takes on a new weight. This can trigger intense money vigilance scripts, even in people who were previously very relaxed about their finances. It's a time when communication with a partner is critical to navigate the new financial realities without letting fear take the driver's seat. Retirement is another transition that is often viewed in purely financial terms, but it is a massive identity shift. For decades, you may have been in a mode of earning, saving, and accumulating. Retirement requires a psychological shift to a new phase of life, one that may involve decumulation and a redefinition of purpose outside of a professional career. It can bring up a mix of excitement and freedom, but also fear and a sense of loss. The emotional task is to build a new identity and a sense of purpose that is just as rich and meaningful as your working years. In all of these transitions, one of the most helpful concepts is the idea of the transition pause. When we are in the midst of emotional turmoil, whether it's the excitement of a new marriage or the grief of a loss, we are often not in the best state of mind to be making major, irreversible financial decisions. Society often pressures us to act quickly. The transition pause is the intentional act of giving yourself permission to slow down. It's the grace to say, I am in a major life event right now, and I will not make any big decisions for a set period of time unless absolutely necessary. This pause creates the space for the emotional dust to settle, allowing you to eventually make choices from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. Navigating life's crossroads is about more than just adjusting the numbers. It is an invitation to pause, reflect, and consciously realign your financial life with your evolving identity and values. Each transition is an opportunity to let go of what no longer serves you and to step more fully into the life you are creating. In our final chapter, we will bring all of these concepts together and discuss how to create a lifelong practice of financial well-being and where to turn for professional support. Welcome to the final chapter of our series. As we conclude, we want to emphasize one last time that this entire series has been for educational and informational purposes only. The concepts discussed are not, and should not be considered, a substitute for professional financial, legal, tax, or mental health advice. We are not licensed professionals. Please consult with qualified experts for guidance tailored to your unique life and circumstances. Hello, and welcome to our 15th and final chapter. We have traveled a long way together on this exploration of financial therapy. We began by uncovering the invisible forces that shape our financial lives, our unconscious money scripts. We learned to recognize our emotional triggers, and we explored the deep connections between our money, our relationships, our mental health, and our core values. We've discussed the weight of debt, the challenge of anxiety, and the power of defining enough. If there is one central message to take away from our time together, it is this. Financial well-being is not a destination you arrive at. It is not a number in a bank account. It is a lifelong practice. Like physical fitness or nurturing a relationship, it is something you return to, day after day, choice after choice. It is a practice of awareness, intention, and self-compassion. The goal is not to achieve a perfect, problem-free financial life. The goal is to build the inner resources to navigate the complexities of money with greater peace, clarity, and confidence. So, how do you carry this work forward and integrate it into your life? The key is to transform these concepts from ideas you've heard into practices you embody. Consider adopting the practice of curiosity. This is the commitment to approach your financial life with a spirit of gentle inquiry, rather than harsh judgment. When you make a financial misstep or feel a surge of financial anxiety, your first question can be a curious and compassionate why. Why did I feel the urge to spend? What fear is this anxiety pointing to? This practice slowly unwires the shame and replaces it with self-awareness. Embrace the practice of the pause. As we've discussed, the space between a trigger and your reaction is where your freedom lies. Make it a habit to take one conscious breath before making an unplanned purchase, before reacting in a financial conversation with a partner, or before spiraling into worry after seeing a headline. This simple pause is the foundation of mindful, intentional financial decision-making. You might also create a practice of the money date. This is a scheduled, regular time to check in on your financial well-being. It is not necessarily about crunching numbers. It's a time to reflect. You can do this alone or with a partner. You might ask, are my financial choices this month aligned with my core values? How am I feeling about money right now? Are my goals still meaningful to me? This transforms financial management from a reactive chore into a proactive ritual of self-care. As you engage in this personal work, you may find that you desire or require professional support. Recognizing when to seek help is a sign of strength and wisdom. However, it's crucial to find the right kind of help. Here is a general overview of different professionals and the roles they typically play. If your struggles are primarily emotional, if you are dealing with deep-seated anxiety, depression, the effects of trauma, or severe relationship conflict around money, a licensed mental health therapist or counselor is often the best place to start. Their expertise is in helping you heal the underlying emotional wounds. If you find that your emotional and practical financial lives are deeply and complexly intertwined, a certified financial therapist may be a good fit. These professionals are trained in both mental health and financial counseling, and are uniquely equipped to help you work on both aspects simultaneously. If you have a good handle on your why, your values and your goals, and you need expert guidance on the how and what of your finances, a certified financial planner, CFP, or another qualified financial advisor can be an invaluable partner. Their expertise is in areas like investment strategy, retirement planning, and insurance. They help you build the financial architecture to support your life goals. For matters related to filing your taxes or developing a tax strategy, a certified public accountant, CPA, or other qualified tax professional is the expert to consult. And for legal matters such as creating a will, a trust, or navigating the legal aspects of a marriage or a business, you would seek the counsel of an attorney. It is not uncommon for individuals to build a team of trusted professionals over time. The key is to understand their distinct roles, so you can get the most appropriate and effective support for your specific needs. Our journey together through this audio series is now at its end, but your personal journey is just beginning. You have planted the seeds of awareness and intention. Continue to nurture them. Be patient with yourself. Remember that progress is not linear, and every step, no matter how small, is a step toward a healthier and more peaceful relationship with money. Thank you for sharing your time and attention with us. We wish you clarity, confidence, and compassion on the path ahead.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.